Hey guys, this is John. I'm playing Alexieve in the 15-minute pool in ICC. I might have pronounced that wrong. Let's play e4 in this game. So this player is 21-42. They've played 41 standard games, 29 wins, 12 losses. Okay, and we have a e4, e5, knight f3 position on board. Now, I'm going to play the Ponziani c3. And this is an opening that one of my students, shout out to Justin, Justin has been telling me for months and months to play. And I keep promising him that I'll play it, and I always forget. So, Justin, here you go. You can critique me after this game's over. D5. Okay, I know the move against this is queen a4, so I'll play that. So the Ponziani it's considered kind of like a second-rate e4 opening, but it's actually like not that bad. Bishop d7 is the main move. Now, I think it goes e takes d4, and then, is it knight d4? I'm really going to be potentially embarrassing myself with the theory, but I'll do this and see what happens. I think this is the move, though. Taking on d5. No other move really makes sense. So temporarily, black is going to go down a pawn, but he's going to get some play because now he's going to do a discovered attack on my queen. And I know Justin will show up in the comments and enlighten us on the theory. But it was awesome because he sent me a really long document on the Ponziani, and I haven't studied it in full, clearly, but it seemed to be a good resource. I may have to go back and look at it once this game is finished. But I know he has had success in Blitz and Standard with this line, and he's somewhat of a low-rated player. I don't think he would mind me saying that, but he's playing it with success, I'd say, up to like the 15, 16, 1700 standard level, at least on like chess.com and Lichess, which on ICC would probably equate to like maybe 1400 level or so. Okay, so knight d4, attacking my queen. Clearly I have to retreat to d1 in order to deal with this. And then they can take on f3. I'll take with my queen. And I guess
check.
Black will have some compensation in the form of development. Because now you can see I've already had to move my queen so many times. So it may be the case that Black is not playing just immediately to get the pawn back. They're playing to bring their pieces out. So knight f6. I want to get developed ASAP, but I also want to attempt to keep this pawn. So here I'm looking at either bishop c4 or pawn d3. Bishop c4 seems a bit ambitious, maybe in view of e4. I think that would be a cramping move that could potentially give me problems. I'm leaning towards d3, but d3, bishop g4, queen g3, queen takes d5. Black wins the pawn back right away. What else could I do? I mean, is bishop c4, e4 really that bad? Queen g3, bishop d6, queen takes g7. Maybe king e7 then? Black has a pretty massive lead in development, though. I could play h3 in order to stop bishop g4, but that still allows e4. So I'm not too certain about that. Bishop c4, e4, queen g3. Am I really scared of bishop d6 in that position? I don't think I should be. Queen takes g7. Ah, there's rook g8, though. Not king e7, rook g8. Okay, rook g8 looks a little scary. I might want to opt for d3. It's not too exciting, but I think preventing e4 is a worthwhile goal. So d3, bishop g4, let's say queen g3, and then queen takes d5. Maybe bishop e3 in that position, or bishop g5 potentially, threatening bishop takes f6. It could be okay, I suppose. I just want to try to get my queenside pieces out as well. C4 is another move I could try here, but C4 creates a pretty glaring weakness on D4. Okay, let's play D3. And after bishop G4, I'll play either queen E3 or queen G3. I've kind of resigned myself to giving back the pawn. I'm just playing for simplicity. Okay, let's play queen G3. So if queen takes D5, bishop G5, they could play bishop F5. Maybe knight D2 then? Seems like a decent way to develop. Let's do it. It's nice to play this move bishop G5 because I'm essentially gaining a tempo back. Like now the threat is just to take on F6 and then take the bishop, so they're going to have to waste a move in defending against that, most likely in moving this bishop. So I can take some solace in that fact. I think there's a book called Play the Ponziani. I want to say it's by Tim Taylor, but I'm not sure. It's the only book I'm aware of on this opening. Bishop F5. Yeah, I think just knight D2 maybe. So if knight D2 castles queenside, I think maybe... Oh, I can't castle queenside because the A2 pawn hangs. That was my plan. My plan was to castle queenside, but I see that's not going to work. If I take F6, taking F6 doesn't really accomplish anything. Maybe I should just play bishop E2, and then if castle's queenside, castle kingside. If they take here, at least I can play rook D1 and pin them. Wonder if they can get away with E4 then, though. Might be difficult to win back the pawn. Probably bishop E2 should be played, though. Bishop E2, castles queenside, castles kingside. Bishop takes D3. What if I take on D3? They take with the queen. I take E5. That could work. That might be okay. Bishop D6, though. Black is pretty well developed. Queen A5. Okay, we're going to do this. Hope for the best. I probably have to develop my bishop or my knight, and knight D2 wasn't looking too hot, so hence the text. I do wonder if they can grab that D3 pawn after castling queenside, though. Okay, this move I don't mind seeing. Yeah, because I think now I can take on F6 and then maybe play knight D2 thereafter, and perhaps it's not so bad. Again, there's that castling queenside thing, though. So take F6, G takes F6, knight D2, castle queenside. Bishop G4 looks artificial. Seems like I'm obligated to capture on F6, however. Maybe capture on F6 and then just castle. But I'm really worried about the G file later on, to add to my growing list of concerns in this position. So bishop takes F6, G takes F6, knight D2, castle queenside. What if queen E3, there's bishop C5. I was trying to attack that pawn on A7, but it's not working. mean, is bishop e3 ever a decent option in this position, just retreating? They can't take on d3 right away because we trade and then I win e5. So let's say bishop e3, castle's queenside. Then let's say castle short. If bishop takes d3, bishop takes d3, queen takes d3, queen takes e5, I should be okay. Not the greatest of positions once again. I'm going to try this. There's also the idea of playing for d4 too. So if castle's queenside right here, just playing pawn d4. Maybe that's not too bad either. It's not too good either, though. Like castle queenside d4. Let's say e takes d4. And if c takes d4, trying to go for knight c3, I think black could play bishop takes b1, just eliminating that knight. And then after rook takes b1, then bishop b4 check. And I have to move my king, like king f1. That doesn't look too promising. I could play c4 to try to kick the queen away, but that's an ugly move. Probably I should just castle here. But then bishop takes d3, bishop takes d3, queen takes d3, queen takes e5. Black has a lead in development. There's also knight g4. That's a definite problem. What about d4, e takes d4, bishop takes d4? Anything doing there? Not likely. So if castles, we were looking at this line where we take e5, but knight g4 at the end is a problem. I very much dislike my position right now. Not gonna lie. Just hard to do much. Okay, I'm going d4. This is like one of the few ways I see not to lose the d pawn. And if pawn takes, I'm going to take with the bishop. And if bishop d6, I'm hoping that queen takes g7 is okay. And that I don't get killed if this happens. I will be attacking the knight on f6. So I think that should slow my opponent down. At the same time, it looks really risky. So I'm so far behind in development. I need basically a couple moves. I need to move my knight out. I need to castle. And probably I'm not castling queenside anymore. So kingside is going to be the safe haven. I wonder actually if e takes d4, c takes d4, bishop takes b1, rook takes b1 is all that bad. Bishop b4 check is the problem, though. Then I have to go king f1. They can take a2. Yeah, I just feel like I don't really have much to show there. My rooks are not connected. Okay, so let's go for this line. We'll try to make the best of it. The bishop on e2 does control the knight's jumping ability, so it can't go to h5 so easily, for instance. Rook e8 might be a good move. So maybe ideas of the bishop coming into d3. Well, actually, I have that square covered right now. So what if knight d2? So knight d2, knight h5, perhaps? Yeah, that's going to be the answer. Knight d2, knight h5. And then if queen f3 take, I'm in trouble. Maybe bishop e3 to start. Okay, let's play bishop e3. We're under 5 minutes now. Oh, Justin. You know I'm taking one for the team right here, playing the Ponziani. And I know I'm not giving it its due, but hey, when you play a little offbeat openings like this, I guess you got to be willing to slosh around a bit. Okay, what's the idea there? So if I take g7 is bishop e5 just going to kill me? Is that what he's arguing? He's probably right about that. So maybe I have to play queen f3. And then if bishop e4, queen h3 check. And attempt to avoid getting slaughtered. Queen takes g7, bishop e5 looks pretty bad for me. That looks like it's going to hurt. Okay. Oh, man. This is going to be bad. All right, queen f3 it is. I think bishop e4, queen h3 check. Let's say king b8. I mean, a simple plan there for black would be like g5, g4. Maybe I can distract them a little bit, like knight d2, attack the bishop. I'm hoping that could work out. Queen trade would be nice, even though a queen trade probably isn't great for us either, actually. Nah, queen trade is just might win a pawn for black too. Like queen takes f3, bishop takes f3, bishop f4. Yeah, he's just gonna do it. So if I take with a pawn, knight d5 is good. Okay, so we might have to give up a pawn here, unfortunately. Well, let's test our defensive skills with 4 minutes versus 9 minutes and down a pawn. You never know. Yeah, I think bishop f4 is decent. I could try to save the pawn with king d2. He takes e3, I take with the pawn. Kind of looks like a pawn that in the long run will just be lost, though. And my coordination will be all messed up if I try to defend it. So I'm thinking I might just want to castle. Like bishop f4, castles, bishop takes e3, f takes e3, rook takes e3, knight d2, and just go from there. It's a solid extra pawn for him, but... Oh, actually I have... That's kind of clever. Bishop f4, castles, bishop takes e3, f takes e3. If rook takes e3, I have bishop takes b7 check. King takes b7, rook takes f5. And maybe I'm okay. He can check me on e1, but my rook comes back to f1. Perhaps by some miracle I can get out of this. What is h5 about? Trying to put something on g4? That's a really weird move. I don't quite get that move. So if I castle, knight g4, is that the point? Castle, knight g4, bishop takes, pawn takes, and they're attacking h2. Okay, I'm just going to go here. Maybe g5 is coming. In that case, I might castle queenside, though. This is a strange operation. I don't think I would have thought about this for black. h5 with the idea of knight g4. Makes some sense. So if bishop takes, h takes, I guess, is still the issue. Well, I kind of have to take it. I mean, the threat on e3 is too big. So when he takes with the h-pawn, we can play g3, but then I think he's going to double rooks on the h-file. And long term, it doesn't look that great. H takes g4, we could play knight c4, but he'll take on h2 with the bishop. Thinking I should castle queenside here. Do that instead. Yeah, let's play that way. At least this way, like if they take on h2, I can play g3. And I'll be down a pawn, but they're double g pawns, and f2 and g3 are defended. Also, maybe a piece for them will become sort of trapped on h2. Bishop back. Controlling against, or defending against knight c4 and also threatening the pawn. Okay, knight e4 maybe. Hmm. Maybe c4 instead. Let's go c4. Just trying to block this light square bishop. I think this pawn will still be a goner. Like, a slower plan for black, like just doubling rooks on the h-file, actually looks pretty good. b6, nice and solid. So if knight e4, bishop e5. c5 is possible. Probably not good, though. Okay, let's go knight e4. So bishop e5. I'd like to go knight g5, but they can just take on c4. So probably b3 should be played. Takes on h2. No fear. So if b3, bishop takes c4, b takes c4, rook takes. Yeah, I might just be losing material there. All right, I'm going to try to trap the bishop. I know I lose the c4 pawn, but I don't really see what else to do. Quite honestly. Oh boy, this is bad. Okay, let's bring this back to defend a2. I'm going to try to go rook d4. I don't have a good idea of how I'm going to win this bishop, nor do I think it can be won, at least right away. Okay, so he's probably maneuvering the bishop back here. If bishop takes g3, I can take on h8 in between move, deflecting his rook away so he can't get rook takes e3 in. This is still very bad, though. Bishop e7, rook e1 is kind of forced. Trying to defend the bishop. Otherwise, bishop takes g3 could be played. Not one of my better games, folks. Things just went wrong right from the start in this one. You know, that bishop d7 move on move 4, I think Justin had mentioned it to me that it's like, he doesn't face it very often, but it might be like the best move in that position. Where's my play coming from here? Knight d5, rook f4. There's not really much to work with. Okay, I guess I'll do this. Try to like maneuver my knight somewhere. I have 50 seconds left. This bishop is still trapped. But otherwise my position is extremely poor. Let's bring the rook in. Maybe rook g6. Or I suppose if king c7, bishop f4 is possible. X-raying the king. It's a strong place for that bishop. Just going to bring the knight back. I wanted to go knight f4, but I think just g5 was possible in that case. Now there's ideas of f4 for him. Okay, we're going to go here. We're really grasping at straws at this point. 24 seconds left. I mean, it's almost resignable. and down the 2 pawns, but I'll still play it out.
Check. Check.
At least the bishop is still trapped. we can take that away from the position. I'm just going to play as fast as I possibly can. You can play rook here even. Maybe try to trade. I really don't want to trade though. Yeah, let's not trade. The only reason I would want to trade is if I thought I could win this bishop, but I still don't see how I can win that bishop, ever.
Time warning.
Let's at least stop him from playing b5. And there's a few practical problems for him, like how does he arrange b5 without allowing a ton of counterplay? But it really should be losing for me in many ways. Now I have almost nothing to do, because I can never put my bishop on e3 due to bishop takes g3, with his rook sitting on e8. My knight kind of has to stay here to stop b5. I need my rook on the a file, because if b5 take, I need to be able to play rook a6. So I'm kind of stuck. Okay, let's just drop this back. Like I said, I'm just shuffling now. No increment is always brutal. Because he could just win by playing pretty much nonsensical moves right now. But he's been doing a good job of keeping control of the position, not really allowing me anything. Seems a little like he's not sure what to do now, though. I'm just hovering my bishop over f4 because I'm going to play this move as soon as possible. If he plays bishop e4, at least I can take and then go rook h1. We'll trap that bishop. Maybe his idea is to drop the bishop back to c6 and then play for b5. He could do that. He's really thinking a lot here. Seems like he's not going to play for time. He's just going to attempt to do something normal. g6 doesn't really change the position much. I can make a lot of moves really quick. I wish I had about 30 seconds, though, instead of 11. That would be nicer. He's picking up pace. So if ever b5 is played again, I'm taking and doing what I said I would do earlier. Check on a6. Let's play this capture if he does this. Doubt he's going to do it, though. Because I can bring my rook into a5, and if rook b6, I have bishop e3 check. So I still really doubt that he'll play it that way. Maybe I'll play the bishop to g5 this time, just to possibly enable the check on e7. He's thinking. Why is he thinking? He plays bishop to c6. This is really weird, guys. It's like he doesn't care that I'm really down on time. So b4, I'm playing knight a4 check. This is really weird. Hey, he loses on time. Yeah, honestly, that's evidence of engine use, because he never started speeding up when the position was already just winning for him based on the clock. That is really weird. I mean, I don't want to, again, like, I've been in this situation so many times with the standard pool, because this is the pool on ICC where cheating is the most rampant. It's the longest time control. People, if they want to cheat, they have plenty of time to do it, unlike Bullet and Blitz. But like any human player would just start playing quick moves, like when I have 10 seconds left. And you saw what he did. He just started timing down, and he never adjusted his pace of play. It was like the same steady pace of play. Before I look at this game, now, okay, let's look at the game first. Let's give this a good analysis first. But so it was a Ponziani with this d5 move. This is one of the best ways of combating this opening. And if takes, white just gives up control of the center. I think queen takes d5 is like basically an improved Scandinavian for black. So that's why I played queen a4. He played bishop d7, and here's kind of where my theoretical knowledge ends, honestly. Like, I know this is a line. Okay, I know a few more moves.
Check.
But I'm not sure what happens after knight f6. Probably d3 is just a weak move. I mean, I was debating between that and bishop c4, but it seemed to me like bishop c4, e4, and my development will be hindered. Like, I was wondering about queen g3, bishop d6, and it seemed like this was really dangerous. But I see now that I can go to e2 instead, according to the engine. Yeah, queen e2 and line up against his king. Okay, so more than likely that's the way to play it if I'm going to go down this line and accept the pawn that black is sacrificing. So instead I play d3. Yeah, that's probably a question mark move. Queen g3, queen takes d5, and black's position is excellent after this. Bishop g5, I'm threatening to take here and then win the bishop. So here, bishop e2. Knight d2 is also possible, but it's still an advantage for black. Knight d2 castles. I didn't see how I would save this pawn, because I wanted to go castles, intending something like, some sort of discovery like this, or maybe taking here and then playing knight f3. But I think the issue is that my a2 pawn just hangs. So if I've castled here, queen takes a2 is possible. So bishop e2, h6, bishop e3. So now they can't take the pawn because I do win e5 at the end of this line. But black very sensibly castles. I played d4. Hate to play this move, but I just didn't really see too many other good options. It's probably a bad move, though. Maybe I should just give up the pawn on d3 where it's at. Like knight d2. What was I thinking they could do against that? King b8 is, according to the computer, the best move, but if they just take, I do win the e5 pawn, but I think knight g4. Knight g4 was the move I kept looking at, forking the queen and the bishop, and I never liked that for me. Yeah. Queen g3, knight takes e3. I'm going to end up with a weak pawn on e3. It's too easy to attack. Like, let's say we even trade queens. Bishop c5, attacking this pawn. The rook is coming to the center. Awful position. Awful endgame for white. So I played d4. He took, take with the bishop. You see my position is borderline lost. Yeah, I guess I should try knight d2, but it's a depressing position all around. Rook e8, bishop e3, bishop d6. I was just trying not to lose right away, because here I saw that if queen takes g7, which was kind of my original intention, if that happens, I think there's bishop e5. And my queen is completely stuck. He's just threatening something like this now, trapping the queen. In addition to knight discoveries. Yeah, it's -6. Or rook h7. Rook h7 is also a threat. So I had to play queen f3 and totally grovel, but he just went into an endgame. That's interesting. I mean, I know I said like his play was evidence of engine use, but like he's not making completely 100% perfect engine moves. I just mentioned that because, like, I mean, a couple of the moves were weird. Like, to me, h5 is a very weird move. I don't know too many people who would think about h5 in this position. Just because it seems like bishop f4 is very obvious. Bishop f4 was the main move I was looking at. Although on bishop f4, there is that line I was talking about, take and then rook takes. And I do have bishop takes b7 here to win back the pawn. Looks like it's still better for black, but maybe they calculated that and decided it wasn't worth trying it. So he went down this h5, knight g4 road. Guess maybe knight f1 is possible, but again, there's pressure on e3. He can just build up against that bishop. Like, let's say knight f1, even like bishop f4 is probably good. So I took on g4. He takes the h-pawn. Now this pawn is kind of doomed. Very, very strange. I mean, you can see like he made pretty committal moves fast. So like right here, he has 722. Bishop takes h2, he has 708. So he spent 14 seconds making that move, which looks a bit scary. I mean, the bishop does get kind of trapped. But then he just timed down at the end game. At the end of the game, it doesn't add up. So g3. And here I'm just looking for something to do. And c4 probably doesn't help my cause much, but if b3, I was worried that I would be weakening my king quite a bit. Like I might get caught in the crossfire with check, king b1, I guess I'd have to play. And then
check.
Bishop f5, check. My king is really getting pushed to the corner. But again, this might be a lesser of two evils type of thing. So c4, b6, knight e4, bishop takes h2, bishop takes c4, he's playing well here. Bishop a6, all best moves. Bishop b7, f5, defend the pawn. c5 looks fine. Yeah, he kept control like perfectly. I never had much of anything.
Check.
Rook e8. Yeah, and I mean right around here. So just look at the time. I have 21 seconds. He has 4 minutes. I mean, this guy, based on his play, like clearly this is a very competent player. If it's a human, and it's just baffling to me why they spent so long like on this move, and then at no point did they ever adjust their play. It was like same tempo of play this whole time. Eventually they do play b5, but baffling, guys. And again, I don't mean to call people out, but it's just like you guys see exactly what happens. Like it would be weird of me not to point this out. It's really, really strange. I'm just curious about this guy because it is a new account. I just want to see like how they're losing their games if they actually do lose. White disconnects and forfeits. They're winning games too. Disconnected on move 1 for a loss. Won a bunch of games in a row. Flagged in a winning position here. They can just take black's queen. Flagged, maybe not a winning position, but unclear. Yeah, I'm not going to go into an extensive investigation into them, but yeah, strange play to say the least. But at least we got a good Ponziani game in, and I think I learned at least a thing or two about this line, that to make this line work, probably bishop c4 has to be played in this position on move number 8. So hope you guys enjoyed it nonetheless, and I'll be back tomorrow with another standard game. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.